Is the Airbnb market collapsing for real estate investors? Is every city across the country seeing revenues crash? In this video, we'll give you 5 cities where revenue has actually increased so far this year.
We are the Real Estate Robinsons.
Hey everyone, if this is your first time here, I'm Sarah.
I'm Tony.
And we are real estate investors who quit our day jobs by investing in Airbnbs, and we're here to show you how you can do the same.
So there are 2 big challenges with investing in Airbnbs right now. First, there's lots of talk about the quote-unquote Airbnb collapse. There are influencers and blog writers and news reporters who are all talking about how we should basically be running away from investing in Airbnbs right now.
And just real estate haters, right? We'll link to a video in the description where we debunk some of that negative talk. But even if you're able to get past all of that and decide that you do want to buy your own Airbnb, the second challenge really is trying to figure out which cities are the right cities to buy in.
And with 19,495 different cities across the United States, trying to answer that question of what city should I buy my Airbnb in can probably feel a little bit overwhelming.
Totally normal. So instead of taking action and getting started, you're just stuck in analysis paralysis phase.
So our goal is to get you unstuck and show you 5 cities that are actually seeing Airbnb revenue increases through the first few months of this year.
But first, let's break down exactly how we came up with the list of these 5 cities. We want to focus on states where the average home price wasn't too high. So we only considered states that were in the bottom 10 for average home prices in the United States. By keeping the focus on cheaper states, it means more of you who are watching can actually afford to invest there.
Now, here's the crazy part. We've actually never been to most of the states that we ended up finding. So we literally didn't even know which cities in those states made sense for us to even look at. But here's a pro tip. Airbnb has a pretty powerful search tool. And most people don't realize this, but you actually don't have to enter in a city when you search on Airbnb. You can just type in the state that you're thinking of traveling to, and then Airbnb will suggest properties all across the state showing you multiple cities.
So that's what we did. We just typed each state directly into Airbnb and let Airbnb tell us which cities inside of that state were already super popular. So once we had a list of potential cities, we then went to AirDNA and we found the occupancy, ADRs, and RevPAR for each city.
Now, occupancy measures how often properties are actually getting booked. Your average daily rate, or ADR for short, measures how much people pay for one night, and revenue per available room, or RevPAR for short, basically combines your occupancy and your ADR into one measurement, and it's a solid way to measure revenue for Airbnbs. A positive change in RevPAR from this year to last year means that revenue increased, and a negative change means that revenue went down.
So we're recording this video in July, so we only looked at data through the first 6 months of 2023 and compared that to the first 6 months of 2022. So yes, there's a chance that even though these 5 cities are up the first 6 months, they could essentially end up going down for the next 6 months.
But at least you have a good starting point after watching this video in terms of where to look.
So let's count down the 5 cities we found.
Coming in at number 5 is Hot Springs, Arkansas. So Hot Springs, Arkansas gets its name from, you guessed it, the fact that it's filled with natural hot springs.
Hot Springs is on the western side of Arkansas, about an hour or so outside of Little Rock. It's also home to Hot Springs National Park, which was ranked the 13th most visited national park last year with 2.6 million visitors. So naturally, you're gonna get visitors looking to enjoy the outdoors. Here's the data for Hot Springs.
For January, RevPAR went from $87 in 2022 to $84 in 2023, so that's actually a 3% decrease. But it goes up from there. February RevPAR went from $110 in 2022 to $114 in 2023 for a 4% increase. March RevPAR went from $164 in 2022 to $175 in 2023 for a 7% increase. April went from $137 in 2022 to $145 in 2023 for a 5% increase. May RevPAR went from $146 to $154 for a 5% increase. And June RevPAR went from $188 in 2022 to $199 in 2023 for for a 6% increase. Overall, that's an average year-over-year increase of almost 5% through the first 6 months of the year.
All right, and coming in at number 4 is Logan, Ohio. Logan, Ohio is just outside of Columbus, and there are parks, waterfalls, caves, and woodlands. It's also home to Hocking Hills State Park and Lake Logan State Park. So again, here's another market that's focused on the more outdoorsy type of traveler. Here's the data for Logan.
For January, RevPAR went from 135 in 2022 to 143 in 2023 for a 6% increase. February RevPAR went from 149 in 2022 to 167 in 2023. That's a 12% increase. March RevPAR went from 184 to 199. That's an 8% increase. April went from 207 to 211 in 2023. That's a 2% increase. May went from 197 in 2022 to 199 in 2023 for a 2% increase. And June RevPAR went from 230 in 2022 to 250 in 2023 for a 9% increase. Overall, that's an average year-over-year increase of almost 6% through the first 6 months of the year.
But before we keep going on, we just want to share with you guys that we've officially launched our Airbnb coaching program. Yeah! It's called Alpha Host Academy, and we are so excited to share this with you guys.
When you join our community, you get a mix of one-on-one coaching, group coaching, on-demand content, and access to a thriving and supportive community. Our goal is to help our students, is to help you escape the rat race and replace your day job.
If you're interested in booking a discovery call to learn more, then head over to therealestaterobinsons.com/Alpha Host. All right, coming in at number 3 is Brownsville, Kentucky. Brownsville is a short drive from Bowling Green, Kentucky, and is right outside of the Mammoth Caves National Park, which sees almost 700,000 annual visitors. One thing to call out here is that this is a smaller market, so ADRs and purchase prices are pretty low in comparison to other markets. But it's still worthwhile to explore how things have changed since last year. Here's the data for Brownsville.
January RevPAR went from $24 in 2022 to $29 in 2023, a 19% increase.
Woo!
February went from $36 to $53, a 49% increase. March RevPAR went from 103 in 2022 to 115 in 2023 for an 11% increase. April went from 117 in 2022 to 108 in 2023, so actually an 8% decrease, but may bounce back, going from 99 to 122 in 2023 for a 23% increase. And June RevPAR went from 123 in 2022 to 118 in 2023 for a 4% decrease. Now, I know there's some up and down, but overall, that's a year-over-year increase of almost 9% through the first 6 months of the year.
All right, and coming in at number 2 is Crane Hill, Alabama. The city is about an hour outside of Birmingham, Alabama. Smith Lake runs through most of the city, so you get the outdoors mixed with water activities. Here's the data for Crane Hill.
January RevPAR went from 130 in 2022 to 177 in 2023, a 35% increase. February went from 160 to 211, that's a 32% increase. March went from 223 to 280, a 25% increase. April RevPAR went from 200 in 2022 to 250 in 2023, a 25% increase. May went from 276 to 289 for a 5% increase. And June RevPAR went from 353 in 2022 to 356 in 2023 for a 1% increase. Overall, that's an average year-over-year increase of almost 16% through the first 6 months of the year. So we saw modest increases in some of those months, but bigger increases in others. But overall, it was a solid gain through the first 6 months. And what's even more interesting specifically about this market is that typically your slow season goes from October through February. So the fact that we saw really big gains during this off season could mean the peak season could be even bigger and better than last year. So it'll be interesting to see how this market develops.
But before we keep moving, we'd really appreciate if you guys could give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell for notifications. Every new subscriber really does mean a lot to us, and we have a goal of getting to 100,000 subscribers by the end of this year. So if you guys are enjoying this content, please subscribe, share with a friend, turn on notifications, and keep following along.
We've also got a totally free download for all of our subscribers. If you head over to therealestaterobinsons.com, airbnbs.com/calculator, we put together a free tool that helps you analyze properties you're considering purchasing as an Airbnb.
And now the #1 city on our list is Davenport, Iowa. Davenport, Iowa sits right along the Mississippi River. It's actually at the edge of the Iowa border, and once you cross over to the other side of the river, you're actually in Illinois. Davenport is a little more city and a little less outdoorsy than the other cities on our list so far. So if you'd prefer to invest in a city with casinos, shopping malls, and more of that modern amenity, then Davenport is your choice. Here's the data for Davenport.
January RevPAR went from $70 in 2022 to $84 in 2023. That's a 21% increase. February went from $78 in 2022 to $114 in 2023. That's a 47% increase. March went from $110 to $129. That's a 16% increase. April went from $113 in 2022 to $142 in 2023 for a 26% increase. May went from $100 up to $139 for a 40% increase. And June RevPAR went from $102 in 2022 to $151 in 2023 for a 49% increase. Overall, that's an average year-over-year increase of almost 33% through the first 6 months of this year.
So there you have it, 5 cities where the revenue has actually increased so far this year. What we love about this list is that we had never heard of any of these locations before we started doing the research for this video.
So that proved to us that just because we know some of the strong markets to invest in, it definitely doesn't mean that we know all of the strong markets across the country.
Because here's the truth, we live in Southern California, right? So we know all the big vacation spots that are close to us. So you've got the beaches, you've got Joshua Tree, Big Bear, Lake Tahoe, Yosemite. But in the same way that we know all of the vacation spots near California, every state and part of the country has its own little pockets that you probably won't know of unless you live nearby.
So if you've been thinking about investing in Airbnbs, but you're feeling discouraged because the headlines you read keep talking about how the Airbnb collapses everywhere, just know that there are plenty of markets across the country that are still performing well. So that is it for today, guys. I'm Tony J. Robinson. My lovely wife is Sarah Rad Robinson on Instagram. And if you're on TikTok, give us a follow there at The Real Estate Robinsons.
And if you have any follow-up questions, please drop a comment below and we'll do our best to answer it. So that's it for today, guys. I'm Sarah.
I'm Tony.
And we are The Real Estate Robinsons.